Is the big country trying to create division among Africans? You need to ask yourself a question. Divide and conquer, is it still valid today in 2025? Or divide and conquer is an old thing from back in the past? You cannot see it today. Divide and conquer. When you divided, you are conquered easily, swiftly. When you're together, you are very... Have you noticed that when something has occurred, something negative has occurred, and there was 3 people together, they don't get interviewed by the police together. They will separate them in different rooms so they can isolate everybody. What they do is they start blaming you of the crime or the action, and they'll give you the impression that the other guys that are not in the room have claimed that you actually did that. Let's say you knocked somebody or you slapped somebody. You were 3 people and somebody got hurt. And the 3 people are 3 suspects. They will separate the 3 suspects. When you separate the 3 suspects, they don't know what the other person is thinking. They have no idea what the friends have said. They may even say your friend says you. They say they were not there. Then, no, it wasn't me. He did it. That's divide and conquer for you. That's one version of it at least. Now, fellas, the United States of America has just met with Kenya, okay, in a very high-level discussion between the Kenya president and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. What was the outcome? They signed a new health framework agreement, a cooperation to deepen relationship between the United States of America and Kenya. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, but there are many questions to be raised because just a couple of months ago, they were blaming Kenya for praising China. Why would you praise China? We're going to cut you off all agreements. Now, all of a sudden now, they are signing new deals with Kenya. What's happened? We need to rewind this so we can understand the context. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the US signing any good thing with Kenya. But you need to ask yourself questions. Just a few days ago, they went cold with the cousins of the Kenyans, the South Africans. Let me put context into this. So, the US accused South Africa of killing white people. They call it a genocide of white farmers in South Africa. A genocide basically is a term that you can see in a dictionary. It's targeting specific group of people, ethnically, religiously, or any other thing. Now, does that describe what's happening in South Africa? Question mark. Are people being unalived in South Africa? Many people are unalived in South Africa. Are only white farmers being killed? No. Black farmers are being killed too. Now, does this mean it's a genocide? Well, according to the books, that's not necessarily what genocide is. So there is a crime problem happening in South Africa that needs to be attended to. Now, just because not only white people are being killed, does it mean you should not take into accountability? Absolutely not. You need to give it the attention that it is required. Because when the white people are being attacked, they are viciously attacked and hurt and violated to the highest level. So it needs to be attended to. Now, is that the reason why the US will do what they're doing towards South Africa? Well, South Africa has shown that what's happening in South Africa is actually crime. Because you listen to this man.
All of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble rouser. Number 1 for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board.
As you can see, this very successful businessman, a friend of Donald Trump, explaining that it's not only white people being killed, black people are being killed too. In the beginning, after the first accusation by Donald Trump, South Africa delegation went all the way to the United States of America to have a discussion, hoping to convince them that there is no genocide happening in South Africa. However, as you can see some of the pictures presented by Donald Trump as proof and evidence, some of them at least were not in South Africa. Some happened to be from an Ebola pandemic in the DRC. Look at the DRC on the map. This is South Africa. This is DRC. Now, why would you present a South African president evidence for things that happened in this country? It makes no sense. Many months later on, you would all think that America will say, okay, maybe there's no genocide happening in South Africa. That's not the case. The relationship between South Africa and the US is still very strained. Economically, South Africa has been kicked out all the favors they're getting from the US, like the 30% in terms of commerce and business. Now remember, this year South Africa was presiding G20, which brings together 20 of the most powerful economics in the world. Donald Trump refused to attend the event for the very first time in Africa. He even said that South Africa shouldn't be part of G20. They don't deserve it.
Generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. You know, I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told them I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there.
Now, this is clearly an opinion that comes from a place that's not very much happy. Now, unlike the previous time where South Africa was very humble with the president trying to explain in the White House, trying to be reasonable, this time around South Africa wasn't very humble. Here is Ramaphosa saying we've got communication. The US want to participate in G20 after they said no. And Ramaphosa was saying jokingly, we need to look at the practicalities of it.
We have received notice from the United States, a notice which we are still in discussions with them over, about a change of mind about participating in one shape, form or other in the summit. So the discussions are still ongoing. This comes really at the late hour before the summit begins. And so therefore we do need to engage in those types of discussions to see how practical it is and what it finally really means.
Can we actually make this happen? I mean, you can't come at the last hour saying you want to be part of this. The US didn't like that. This is the reaction of a US representative.
The United States is not participating in official talks at the G20 in South Africa. I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely claiming.
As you can clearly see her speak here, the South African president is running his mouth. That's not a very polite way of speaking, especially to a president who could be twice your age, if not 3 times. That is not. It depends on your origin or where you come from. You don't speak to elderly people like that. That clearly showed you that the relationship between South Africa and the US has gone south. Later on, America said we didn't want to be part of G20 event in South Africa. We wanted to send our embassy representative to do the takeover because the presidency next year will be in the United States of America. So apparently what they wanted Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa to do is to do the takeover with the junior diplomat from the United States of America in South Africa. Not the ambassador, but a junior diplomat. South African people, because they have pride, they say, no, not this time. You will not embarrass our president like that. You can't let our president do an exchange with a junior diplomat. I mean, this is not even the ambassador. This is a chargé d'affaires. You cannot do that. And some people believe that was a move to perhaps humiliate South Africa, which South Africa has not embraced. And America doesn't like that. And that is one of the reasons why America has now turned to Kenya. On December 4th, U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio met William Ruto in a discussion that was very deep. Their goal is to deepen their relationship, America and Kenya. Now, why is this important? Because a few months earlier, they were kicking out the Kenyans too. Why? Ruto openly defended Kenya's pivot towards China, citing new trade deals and market access that benefit Kenyan producers. So he was saying China is giving us opportunities that are benefiting Kenyan producers. Ruto insisted that Kenya's foreign policy is guided by economic interest, not external pressure, and declared Nairobi will not turn back from China. And America didn't like that because Kenya was supposed to be a non-NATO ally to the United States of America. Why are you praising China? They were trying to kick them out, cut them off AGOA, not to get the benefit from AGOA anymore. What did Kenya have to beg? How did Kenya beg? They sent an envoy to go and do lobby at the United States of America. There is a person that's getting $190,000 a month from Kenya to lobby for Kenya in the United States of America. $190,000 a month to just speak to Trump and say, hey, Mr. Trump, you need to be nice to Kenya, or Congress, you must be nice to Kenya. Yeah, that's the reality of the world we live in. Now, America has tightened its friendship with Kenya and pushed South Africa away. It's a little bit like, you know what, you are two friends, but I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm going to talk to your friend. Hey, you're so nice. I like your style. Such a nice guy. Like, really, how did you, wow. Like, I've never seen you work with somebody. Like, don't you have friends that like you? That's, what are you trying to create in there? How can Kenya and South Africa not be bothered about the situation? The US has also suggested to cut South Africa from the G20 event in America next year. So South Africa is not invited because South Africa did not bow down to the pressure. Okay, South Africa's president refused to meet a junior diplomat from the US. Therefore, you're not coming to G20. And the United States of America is proposing to bring in Poland on behalf of South Africa, meaning Poland in place of South Africa, because they say Poland has broken into the 20 most powerful countries in the world. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? Will Kenya be invited as a guest? Just to spike it up a little bit to show South Africa, you think you big, we're going to show you. How can South Africa defend itself? Well, we know that South Africa right now is trying very hard to diversify its market, which I firmly believe should have been done long time ago. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, my brother. If the basket falls on the ground, you're going to cry. South Africa is now looking into Middle East, into Asia, into some African countries. And I firmly believe it's long overdue that Africans trade with each other. I know there's a long way to go, but you can only get better by doing. If you have a nation at war and you don't have many military, let's say you have 10 men, and amongst 10 men, only 2 are soldiers. You need to send all of them to war. Yes, that's the only way. You can't say we only have 2 warriors. You need to send everybody to war. And some of them will die, but some others will learn how to fight as the time goes. Africans must come together with all the discrepancies we have. We're going to fix it as time goes. If we still divided, we sit everybody in the corner, we will be unable to do anything that is positive. Out of context, Kenya was sent to Haiti to go and fight Haitians on behalf of the United Nations. It wasn't a European or a white country. I'm sorry you put it that way. They had to find a black country to go fight another black country, or at least other black people, so it doesn't look like colonialism. Now, Kenya is also the chosen country now, since South Africa is pushed to the side, to say, okay, because you're not behaving correctly, look how we're treating Kenya now. If you behave like Kenya, well, you send lobby with $190,000 to lobby for you, you come and beg us, we may consider signing new agreement with you. Let me know how you feel about, is this correct or not? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.